Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to discuss one of the interview questions which you will get when you are attending interviews for like Python developer roles or like data scientist roles. So let's quickly dive in. So the topic is like how you can iterate through multiple iterables. So given two lists or two arrays or two iterables, how you can iterate through them and process those. So for example, let's say we have the names and places. For this example, I have taken a name of gods and places from the Hindu mythology. So I have the names array and the places array. And let's say I want to print something like Ram lives in Ayodhya or like Vishnu lives in Vaikuntha or something like that. So there are like multiple ways to achieve this. Let's look at the crude way of doing things, which is not Pythonic way of doing things. So the idea is like we can get the length of the array and iterate from 0 to n minus 1, where n is the length of the array, and we can index into these two arrays or lists, and we can actually print the statements. Let's see how it looks like. So first let's get the length of the names array. So we are using len function to actually get the length of the array, and to iterate in Python we usually use the range function. So for I in range n, and we can print the statements here. So I'm going to use f strings to actually format the strings. And if you're using f strings, whatever variable you want to print, it should be in the curly braces. So let's pick up the element at index I from names lives in. Then let's pull in the place name from the array places. So let's quickly run this and see what we got. Yeah. So here we got like Ram lives in Ayodhya, Sita lives in Ayodhya, so on and so forth. So, but this is not the Pythonic way of doing things. Things might go wrong if both the list doesn't contain the same number of elements. So there is another easy way of doing this. So that is through using zip functionality. What zip essentially does was it will take n number of iteratables or lists or tuples which can be iterated, and it will pop out every element from the uh, same index throughout your iteratables. So if I pass names and places to the zip function, in the first iteration it will pop Ram and Ayodhya. In the second iteration it will pop Sita and Ayodhya. In the third iteration Ravan and Lanka, so on and so forth. So let's look at how you can convert this not so Pythonic way of printing statements into Pythonic way of printing statements. So for so let's zip the iterables which we want to iterate. So I am zipping names and places. So because zip gives us two elements here, because we are zipping through arrays, two arrays. So let's give the placeholder names, name and place. So what it essentially does was it will take the zeroth element for the first iteration from both names and places, and it will put it in the placeholders name and place. And now we can simply do something like this. Again, here I'm using f strings to construct my string to be printed. So here I can do like name lives and place. So now the code has become a lot cleaner, and we don't have to use intermediate variables like n to print the statements, and we don't have to index into each of these arrays. So at this point, I was asked in the question like, what if some of these lists which you are iterating doesn't have same number of elements? So to take that as an example, let me copy these two here. So the follow-up question is something like this: how you will iterate if names and places doesn't contain same number of elements? So Python has like this functionality from the iter tools. There is one package called iter tools which provides advanced functionalities for iterating uh, through lists or iterables or tuples or dictionaries, whatever. So there is something called zip longest. From iter tools, import zip underscore longest, and it will work very similar to our zip. So I'm going to copy whatever I had in cell 9, and I'm going to change zip to zip longest. So here we can see that the zip longest actually places a none when there is a mismatch in the length of the elements, and it will work similar to the zip. But what happens if we use zip on unequal lengths of arrays or iterables? Let's quickly look at that as well. So if I'm going to use just the zip on iterables which are of unequal length, it's going to pick up the one which is the smallest length. So here you can actually see like it didn't actually take the Vishnu element which has like a mismatch in the number of elements where it doesn't contain anything, right? So Ram lives in Ayodhya, Ravan lives in Lanka, Pandavas live in Indraprastha, and Vishnu we lost that. So it will just take the smallest uh, iterable and it will just iterate all others to the same length. And one last follow up which I had was how you can get the index when you're iterating using zip or zip longest. So Python provides another nice utility called enumerate. What enumerate essentially does was while it is iterating through lists or iterables, it will give you the index uh, at which you are iterating as well. So let's take a quick look at that as well. So I'm going to enumerate our using zip longest now that our variables have unequal length. So this is how it will be. So you need to wrap the zip longest in enumerate function, which will give you the index of the element which you are iterating. So zip longest, I'm going to pass names and places. So here now I can print the same statement, but I can also print the corresponding index of the elements as well. So let me grab the print statement from the previous statements. So here now I can print the index as well. So now here you can see like uh, you will get the index as well in the I. So let's quickly look at what enumerate does. What enumerate does was if you give it an iterable, it will give you like two placeholders, one for the index and one for the value from the iterable. Since we are using zip longest will fill in name and place placeholders here, and enumerate will fill the placeholder I. And I will be actually running from 0 to n minus 1, where n is the length of your list which you are iterating. So that's how enumerate and you can use enumerate and zip longest to be able to like iterate through the elements of unequal lengths, as well as we can get the index when you are enumerating. Thanks for